No abusing bleed crits. No Incarnate. Ho ho! Here comes trouble.
Who's a good boy? Yes, you are. Yes, who's the best murder death machine? It's you.
Hello, my fellow Vault Hunters, and indeed hello, my fellow Vex mains. If there's one thing I really enjoy, is a good old pet-based class, and Phase Familiar then was something I was instantly enamored by and wanted to make work. But of course it ended up being a little bit kind of weak, fun through the campaign, but ultimately, let's be honest, overshadowed by Incarnate, and not just the bleed crit knife abuse, just Incarnate in general, so trouble kinda got put on the back seat, which kinda hurts me, just like I've still not got over Bloodwing. And then time moved on, and eventually I fell in love with something else. The Hot Slugger, an incredible shotgun that fires single, massively damaging slugs that is just so satisfying and clean to use. So I thought, could I combine my favourite pet with my favourite gun? And oh yes, as you are seeing, you can more than do that. Absolutely shredding bosses, and yes, of course, we're still going to dip into bleed, but not using the crit knife. None of this footage is crit knife based, right? It's just regular shoot and using the passive as intended, while Trouble, your face familiar, is the main engine for damage while doubling up as an immortal attention-grabbing tank in the front line. And talking of immortal, every time you shoot in this build, you will generate massive amounts of overshield, making yourself downright unkillable, while also exploiting just a little cool tech that essentially gives you a permanent double damage increase that is so much fun. So welcome then to a pure trouble kinetic, a little splash of bleed Vex that lets you just hit really hard all of the time. Even if you don't crit, you'll be going through waves of enemies and just popping them one shot, exploding them into mist, even if you body shot, because you're still hitting 50 to 150k a shot without critting. It's hilarious, and it is such a good time to actually pilot, and if you are someone that's sick of Incarnate, or if you're someone that wants a little bit of trouble, or indeed a fellow Hot Slugger fan, this is the build for you. So without further ado then, let's get into this. And of course, to note, you still can verily abuse the bleed crit knife, but like my last build, I wanted this to be a really powerful Vex option, even if something gets changed, or it gets nerfed, or they prevent bleeds from critting, anything like that. To be honest, if they make it so that crit bleeds can't trigger more bleeds, which is the most likely solution, because it kind of pushes you to infinite damage, which probably is unintended, but again, single player game, let people have fun, but if they do, that's the most likely fix, so everything you've been seeing here will get exponentially more powerful in a post-knife change world, because then we can actually use the knife to just guarantee crits on these huge Hot Slugger shots and get normal bleeds bleeding normally, and when you're doing this much initial upfront damage, the bleed percent is ridiculous. It really, really is. In any case then, yes, let's go into the details. So what is actually going on here then that's allowing me to body shot for 52,000, or once Trouble gets the memo, 70,000. Yes, you can see how much damage Trouble being here is adding. This really isn't just a build, but Trouble happens to exist. He is the core and single biggest damage amp that we have. In any case then, it's a really fun little synergy that I've been toying around with, and as you can see as we headshot for like 125k, the raw bleed amount without any shenanigans is silly. Like, this is just normal intended damage, and it competes with any other given build in the game, despite not being your classic Incarnate knifey shenanigans. So as you'll see in the bottom left, I have a lot of overshield, and the reason for that is a lovely little synergy. So we will be doing Shielded Teen Witch. That's right, this build will make you a Teen Witch. You have to decide how you you feel about that. So what this will do is allow our lifesteal to go into shields. And if our shields are full, then it will go into overshield. So let's say we have 20% lifesteal overall. We're doing 100,000 damage. That's 20,000 lifesteal. A portion of that goes to your shield, and that's still a huge number. Why that's important is because of this, a amp regular shield. So when your shields are full, your shot does 100% more damage at the cost of 28% of your energy shields. So you see the kind of beauty of this. I was so pleased when I put these both on, and it actually worked, and then Trouble looked at me with a cute little wink. So as I fire, you see that my shield does go down, but then immediately lifesteals itself back up. So every single shot with a slow, high-damaging weapon like Hot Slugger here gets that 100% damage buff, while also making it so you really can't die because you are lifestealing so much into your shield. It's really, really nice. So when that interaction was noticed, the rest of this build is built around making it as strong as possible. And a little tip with Hot Slugger while we're here is if you fire just normally holding it down, you see there's quite a pause between each shot. However, if you manually reload, you can see that you can get to the next shot a lot faster. This will double your DPS at least if you master the timing like you're seeing here. So yes, Hot Slugger being the weapon then. This Blazing Barrel for plus 90% damage, so any fight with ads is going to funnel into it. Most of the footage you've seen hasn't even had time to trigger this, but a big base 9.4k damage hit is exactly what we want here. Each of those is getting hugely boosted, and it really is the ideal weapon. Fires a lot more faster than a sniper. It's got a few little quirky properties that we can help the build with, and it has a really, really important thing going for it, and that it's really, really fun to use. This weapon is from Craven's Nook here, the Order Bunker. Thankfully, I had it just randomly drop, so I've not even needed to go here yet, but that's if you want to farm it yourself. So now that you know the kind of base goal here, let's look at the skill trees and such and see how we've buffed it up using our new best friend. Starting then with our red tree, our phase familiar, selecting Trouble. This is all well and good, being able to turn him into a badass for a nice 20 seconds, really quite potent, at least early game. Just this by itself gets kind of deleted by enemies late game, but as you're seeing, all of this is in Ultimate Vault Hunter rank 5, where everything's doing maximum damage with maximum health, so it's not like it's a problem keeping Trouble alive, primarily because of an augment we'll be taking. In any case, we give ourselves 5 points in enchantment, so we do an extra 38% damage while Trouble is in his badass form, which is going to be essentially the entire time we're killing things, especially bosses. We get 1 point into Grave Sustenance just for Trouble uptime. We don't need that much more because Trouble already has really good uptime, and this is kind of a spare point left over. You could technically put this anywhere you want, but I do quite like it. Then we have 5 in Yowl and Base, so that after commanding him, we get an extra 25% gun damage, which is really nice. It only lasts 8 seconds, but the thing is, there's not really another better option. You can get Hasty Fiends for some nice damage reduction, which isn't a bad choice. If you're finding that your shield uptime isn't still great, then put 3 points into Hasty Fiends instead of Yowl and Bay for the damage reduction, which will help, or you can put Overprotective on if mobbing is proving a little bit spicy with shield management. So essentially you're choosing between these three as some utility for the build. Lastly then, we just want 25% more critical hit damage, higher critical hits, higher bleeds, and just works beautifully with the Slugger. Then we want to go down, and here both of these kind of do nothing for us. Shocking Attunement, at least technically speaking, is usable because you can equip a shock weapon, and then just before you go into a boss, you then switch to the Hot Slugger, and you'll get that 6 seconds of 30% gun damage while walking, but look, it's just to get to the next row. We do, however, want to take Beast Mode. This lets us command Trouble as often as possible for Yowl and Bay, but more importantly, it makes him immune to damage. This is really, really useful. It lets you do neat little things like use him to blow up the 3 suicide bombers that start on the Ripper Queen fight and then not die himself, so you can actually get a bit of utility out of that, but mainly it's just so he can be everywhere he needs to be faster and not be dead while doing it, because we need Trouble alive for the Capstone. But before getting to the Capstone, you want to take Infusion. We're going to be using our Rep Kit on cooldown for huge damage increase, so this is just more of a damage increase. Yes, more lifesteal means more shield transfer from our damage, but I found that you just don't need it. The amount of lifesteal we end up having is more than enough to funnel the build, but you can take this if you really want to. And then finally, Unsealed. This is the reason that we're using Trouble. This was the kind of aha moment. So this will make it so that Trouble marks a target. That's that purple ring you've been seeing on every enemy I'm shooting. While marked, they will take 50% more damage. But while he is in his badass Unsealed form, once you press your F and unleash him, it will double, so you do 100% more damage to the target. So coupled with the shield amp, that's a permanent 200% extra damage dealt to your target, which is huge, and lets Trouble make you do some ridiculous burst. This is really, really good, and I found he's very good at marking the actual target that you want him to do. And then just to be clear on how it actually looks, that little purple ring, you shoot the one that's glowing, and you do a load more damage, and then once we badass him, and now it's even more marked, I'm doing 90,000 damage body hits, which is just brilliant. This could be a lot more as well if I had better gear just passively pumping my damage, but you really can't complain here. The headshots going up to nearly 150k. So that is your red tree done, and the rest of the points will be going into your Incarnate green tree. So we want 3 points in Leeching Attunement. The reason for it is I think an extra 6% lifesteal on top of the 10% the class mod gives you is sort of the sweet spot. It's riding a fine line. You can put more points in to make it more comfy, but that's where I've ended up. Then you want 5 out of 5 in increased splash damage. So the Hot Slugger actually does benefit from increases in splash damage. This makes it do more damage from my testing, so why not take that extra 20% damage? It's one of the quirks I was implying with the weapon earlier. Then of course we get 5 out of 5 bloodletter, so we do get those nice big meaty crit bleeds, but just like the normal amount intended by the game. And then we grab ourselves material components for an extra boost to our damage and bleed damage. Leftover points we whack in conjunction, as we're always going to have a full shield, and that's a nice chunk of extra damage there. So that's the skill tree, nice and clean. Let's then go on to your specialization points, where we want very specifically 4 of these nodes. You'll need 20 points in Survivor, 20 points in Brute, 20 points in Sharpshooter to get them all. And those are the following: the best defense, 30% damage when you're at full shield or health, and you will be all the time, so this is just plus 30% damage, which is obviously great. Then you have this for more status chance application. This is also great because we're still firing one shot, then one shot, then one shot. We want those crits to trigger bleed as easily as possible, and this helps with that. Then we have one shot, one kill. This is just for mobbing through waves of enemies. If you kill something, the excess damage is stored, and then you can pump it into the next guy, which means that you start to just literally one-shot every non-boss enemy in the area, which just feels great to cycle between them. And lastly then, you can get Riddle You This, which with the Hot Slugger isn't great. You can't get that many stacks in 6 seconds, but it's kind of the best of the rest. However, if you do like aiming down sights, then In the Zone is way, way better, but I just don't like aiming down sights. You can also eventually put 10 points into Runner and get Bullet Train for extra 15% gun damage while moving, so this last one is a little bit more flexible, but more than anything, you really do want to have the core of the best defense, your Contamination decontamination, and your one-shot, one-kill. And just to be clear, Trouble's raw damage really isn't that bad. If we pop him out here and then put him into his badass mode, get him actually attacking, yeah, it's only a little like 3 to 5k bites, but it happens quite quick, and against just general enemies, he will mop up little guys around you really nicely. He is also really respectfully tanky, especially with the immunity that you'll keep giving him, so he is a really good distraction for bosses, which helps you keep your shield up because you're not being targeted, so you can just keep blasting away. And obviously, because it's a Jakobs, we can get ricochets going on like that, which is always nice when a dude behind the one you shot goes splat as well. Let's talk gear. We already know that you want the Hot Slugger, so that's all well and good. Yes, technically you still want the Penetrator and Damage Amp Augment on a knife, because you might as well at this point. In the future, this will still be the best if it gets changed, so either way, it's the one to have, and obviously gives you a load more damage. For your enhancement, well, the bonuses matter more than the actual effect on it, so beating 50% more gun crit, 25% more status chance, and damage is really difficult. Ideally, I'd have those 3 effects, but with a Jakobs that has a sequencer on it for that stacking critical hit damage. Then for rep kit, I recommend this one. Technically, any rep kit with Enrage and a low cooldown will do, but this with time dilation is really, really nice. It enables us to have 20 seconds of that plus 30% damage, which works really, really well. It's also a decent chunk of healing, but it's only got a 7-second cooldown, so the uptime on Enrage is massive, 20 out of every 27 seconds. It's a nice one to get. It's not required, it's this specific legendary, you just need a rep kit that gives you high uptime on Enrage, and you're good to go. Then, of course, you require an energy shield that has amp on it specifically. I've literally not found one higher than level 41 here, so please game, and then any secondary effects that contribute to either your survivability or your damage. Then finally we need the class mod that we talked about, the Teen Witch, and you want to get as many ranks in the following from it. First and foremost, you ideally want 3 out of 3 Incorporeal here, as it's another 18% damage dealt, because we're always going to have Overshield, and then you also want as many ranks in Conjunction, again for more gun damage, with Full Shield. Nothing else really matters too much, though you can get ranks of Grave Thirst, which does make the build more comfortable with more lifesteal. And this one drops from Radix, the Vault Guardian in the desert region with the Ripper Queen. That then is everything put together. Generally, for how to play it, it's super simple. Just keep tapping every enemy once with your Hot Slugger, manually reloading for speed as Trouble helps you along. For your full boss wombo combo, you want to make Trouble a badass, then you want to have your rep kit, then you want to trigger his super mode, and then just chain those headshots. He will mark the target, and you will start pouring damage in. I mean, just look at that. It's really straightforward, it's really fun. Trouble is doubling our damage, so he's playing a nice big role here, while also serving as a distraction / tank, and we all have a merry, merry nice time. I hope you enjoy this. I know a lot of you were after a Trouble build, and of course next I will start to look at the final tree for some Spectre action. But until then, like you've enjoyed this, subscribe and hit the bell for more. Consider supporting the future of the channel on Patreon down below, and until we meet again, a goodbye.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.